Hi, this is Clio. For the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to explain what I am and demonstrate every tool I use to explain anything. The script is the tutorial. The artifact is the demonstration. You'll see the same commands work on the map as the script describes them. Clio is a civic intelligence platform. The Mnemosine Research Institute uses it to make briefings about how the world is organized: geopolitics, economics, conflict, infrastructure. The interesting thing about Clio is that it doesn't just write about these subjects, it renders them. Every claim sits on a map. Every claim has a source card. Every claim has a confidence stamp. Every entity has provenance. What you watch is what the system can prove. Underneath every Clio briefing is a registry. About 12,500 entities, 146 sources, thousands of named relationships, countries, cities, ports, refineries, air defense systems, treaties, cooperatives, cyber units, corporations, people. Each one has a stable identifier, a type, coordinates if it has them, fields with sourced values, and a provenance trail. When a script mentions Russia's Black Sea Fleet, the apparatus knows what that is. It can place it on the map, it can show its bases, it can cite the IISS military balance for its strength estimate. None of that is invented in the moment. The simplest commands position the camera. Map.mode switches between political, satellite, terrain, and historical overlay views, the rhetorical layer. Map.view sets a center and a zoom level, latitude, longitude, zoom number. That's what the camera is doing right now. Centered on the Black Sea. Zoom 4. Political view. Map.fit is smarter. It takes a list of entities and frames them. That command just framed Ukraine, Crimea, the Black Sea, and Novorossiysk together. The renderer computes the camera that fits all of them in view with the requested padding. Authors use this dozens of times in a single briefing. Once the camera is in place, the editorial focus tools take over. Map.highlight washes a region in a color and an opacity. Watch. Ukraine in blue, Russia in red, Crimea in deeper red. The colors map to roles in the narrative, not to absolute facts. Highlights can pulse, adding the Quarg pulse true, and map.label adds readable text next to an entity. Just the label, with a transform applied so it doesn't overlap the marker. Highlights and labels accumulate on screen as long as the script keeps adding them. Map.arrow draws a directional line between two entities. That arrow just drew from Odessa to Sevastopol, the USV strike geometry. The arrow can pulse, can change color, can stack with other arrows for multi-source flows. Map.line is the same shape without the arrowhead. Dashed style, used for non-directional links. That dashed line is the Russian Black Sea Fleet migration from Sevastopol east to Novorossiysk. Map.circle draws a circle around an entity, used for area of effect framing, choke point zones, missile ranges, blockade radii. That's a focus circle on the Strait of Hormuz. Flow.animate is the most elaborate. It animates a flowing path along a multi-entity route. That just animated the Ukrainian grain corridor, Odessa through Constanza, out the Bosphorus. Pulses travel along the path while the rest of the scene continues. The map has pre-built layers that authors toggle on and off. Oil shipping routes, U.S. military bases, cable networks, refinery clusters. Right now I just toggled on oil routes and U.S. bases, visible in the underlying map style. The layers exist for thematic context that isn't worth a per-script entity dance. This is the most important pair of commands. Chat.say attributes the upcoming narration to a source record. Source.show pops a card on screen with that source's title, publisher, publication date, and a confidence stamp. The card you're looking at now cites the Royal United Services Institute's analysis of the Black Sea Fleet withdrawal. The source card is not a decoration. It's the unit of evidence the apparatus is built around. If the script tries to make a claim that doesn't trace back to a registered source, the artifact test fails. The piece doesn't ship. That discipline is what separates Clio briefings from generated content slop. Every number, every date, every assertion can be traced to where it came from. You've been seeing these all video. Scene.fade overlays a temporary color fade. Scene.title shows a chapter card with an eyebrow, a title, and a subtitle. The two are usually paired. Fade in, show title, fade out, narrate. That's what produces the rhythm of a Clio briefing. The runtime guarantees the chapter card holds long enough to read. The narration knows to wait. Underneath every command you've seen is a validator. When the script says map.highlight entity equals city Sevastopol, the runtime checks, does that entity exist in the registry? When the script says source.show ID equals Rusai Ukraine score lessons, the runtime checks, does that source exist in the registry? If either answer is no, the command is rejected. The briefing fails closed. A script can't ship a claim that points at a registry entry that doesn't exist. The validator is what makes the apparatus trustworthy. The model that wrote this script could have hallucinated an entity called Sevastopol Naval Storage Facility 4. It would not have been in the registry. The artifact test would have failed. The piece would not have rendered. Clio has a public-private boundary. The model writes structured proposals, parsed stagehand commands, narration claims, source references, mutation candidates. Those proposals are validated. The events that pass validation become public. They show up on the map in the captions on the source cards. The events that fail validation stay private. They're logged for audit, never broadcast. You see the validated trace. You don't see the rejected drafts, the broken commands, the unsourced claims that didn't make it through. The thing you're watching is rendered. The validated trace flows into a render plan that lists every segment, every text segment, every command segment, every timing slot. A headless browser plays the script through the Clio app. A screencast records every frame. Per segment paint times are captured so the composed audio aligns with the captions. FFmpeg stitches frames and TTS audio into the final MP4. That's why these briefings can be re-rendered, re-edited, and reissued without ever calling a language model again. The artifact is a trace, not a generation. There are 4 layers in the stack. The Mnemosine Research Institute is the editorial layer, the humans and the agents deciding what to cover. The script is the authored layer, stagehand commands and narration prose. Clio is the renderer, what you've been watching the whole time. And the registry is the memory. The model that wrote this script does not remember writing it. The model that wrote tomorrow's briefing won't remember today's. The registry is how the apparatus has continuity. Every entity, every source, every validated trace, they are how the Institute remembers across sessions, across models, across the years a project like this takes to mature. What you've been watching is the visible part. 12,500 entities, 146 sources, a stagehand command vocabulary, a validator, a public-private boundary, a render pipeline, and on top of it, briefings that try to explain the world as honestly as a sourced, rendered, inspectable trace can. That's Clio. The next briefing will tell you about something specific, Russian air defense, or the petrodollar that wasn't a treaty, or the Ukrainian OODA loop, or what one society on Earth might prefigure, and every tool you saw today will be in it. Thank you for joining us for this briefing from the Mnemosine Research Institute. This has been Clio, mapping the constraints that shape our world.